Simone stood in her bedroom, hands trembling as she stared at the letter from the bank. The words blurred together, but three phrases stood out in sharp focus: foreclosure proceedings, unauthorized refinance, and immediate payment required. Her husband Derek's side of the closet was empty. Not packed up empty. Moved out weeks ago empty. And she'd been too busy with work to notice. The manila envelope had been waiting on the kitchen counter when she returned from her business trip to Atlanta. Inside were bank statements she'd never seen before, loan documents with a signature that looked like hers but wasn't, and a printout from someone's social media account. The photo showed Derek in a white tuxedo, kissing a woman in an elaborate wedding dress. The caption read, "Best day of my life. Finally married my soulmate." The date was 3 months ago. While Simone had been working 60-hour weeks to save for their future, her husband had been planning a wedding to someone else. She sat on the edge of their bed, her bed now, she supposed, and forced herself to read every document. The refinance had pulled $200,000 from their home equity, money she'd spent 12 years helping to build. The bank statement showed wire transfers to wedding venues, a luxury honeymoon in Bali, jewelry stores, and designer boutiques. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend Nicole: "Girl, you need to call me right now. Are you okay? I just saw something online." Simone's fingers felt numb as she dialed. "Please tell me you know about this," Nicole said immediately. "Please tell me this is some kind of mistake. I just got home. I just found out." Simone's voice sounded distant to her own ears. "That piece of garbage." Nicole's anger was sharp and clear. "I'm coming over." "No, don't. I need to think." "Simone. I'll call you back. I just need a minute." She hung up and opened her laptop. A simple search of Derek's name brought up the woman's profile. Amber Richardson, 26 years old. Self-described lifestyle influencer, with 40,000 followers. Her feed was a carefully curated collection of designer outfits, exotic locations, and motivational quotes about living your best life and attracting abundance. The wedding posts went back 3 months. Amber had documented everything. The proposal on a yacht, the engagement party, the dress fittings, the ceremony at an upscale vineyard. Every post featured Derek, his face bright with excitement Simone hadn't seen in years. Comments flooded each post. "You two are perfect together." "Relationship goals." "Your husband is so generous." "Generous with money he stole." Simone clicked through more photos. There was Amber wearing a diamond bracelet, purchased 2 weeks after Derek told Simone they couldn't afford to fix the leak in their roof. There was the Bali honeymoon, taken during the week Derek claimed he was at a work conference in Chicago. She found a video of the wedding ceremony. Derek's vows talked about finally finding true love and starting our forever. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Except Derek was already a husband. To Simone. Bigamy. The word floated through her mind. He'd committed an actual crime. Her phone rang. Derek's number. She stared at it, letting it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Then again. Finally she answered. "Baby, where are you?" Derek's voice was casual, relaxed. "I thought you were getting back tomorrow." "I'm home." Pause. "Oh, okay. Listen, I'm out with some clients, but I'll be back later and we can talk." "I found the mortgage statements." Silence. "I found the wedding photos. I found everything, Derek." She heard him breathing. Then, "Simone, I can explain. It's not what it looks like. You refinanced our house without my permission, used the money to marry another woman, and let our home go into foreclosure. What exactly am I misunderstanding? If you just let me come home and talk to you. This isn't your home anymore. Baby, please. You're upset. I get it. But Amber doesn't mean anything. It was a mistake. I was confused and she was there and I got caught up. Don't call me again." She hung up and blocked his number. Then she opened her banking app. Their joint accounts were nearly empty. Derek had been draining them for months. Her personal account, the one she'd kept from before the marriage, was untouched. Thank God. It had enough to cover a hotel room while she figured out her next move. Simone stood up, packed a bag with essentials and took one last look around the bedroom. 12 years of marriage. 12 years of building what she thought was a partnership. Gone because her husband wanted to play pretend with a girl who posted selfies for a living. She picked up the manila envelope with all the evidence and walked out the door. The hotel room was clean and quiet. Simone sat on the bed and finally let herself cry. Not for Derek. She was done crying over him. She cried for the version of herself who trusted him, who'd worked so hard to build a life with someone who was busy building a different life behind her back. When the tears stopped, she opened her laptop and started making a list. First, a lawyer. Second, a forensic accountant. Third, find out exactly how deep this fraud went. Derek had made the biggest mistake of his life. He just didn't know it yet. Simone pulled up the photo of him and Amber at their fake wedding. They both looked so happy, so smug. Like they'd gotten away with something. They hadn't gotten away with anything. Not yet. Not ever. Plotted narrative continuation featuring character discovery and relationship revelations. I need to continue with Chapter 2, which is about Simone investigating and finding Derek's second phone, wedding photos, and learning about Amber. This should be around 1,000 words and continue the story's momentum. Simone woke up at 6 in the morning, despite barely sleeping. Her mind had been racing all night, piecing together every strange moment from the past year. Every late night at work. Every business trip. Every time Derek had seemed distant or distracted. She ordered coffee and opened her laptop. Time to become a detective. First, she created a new email address and messaged 5 lawyers who specialized in fraud and family law. By 8 in the morning, 3 had already responded. She scheduled consultations for that afternoon. Then she went back to Amber's social media. The woman posted constantly. Multiple times a day, every day. Simone started at the beginning, 3 months before the wedding, and worked forward. The proposal post showed Derek on one knee at sunset, presenting a ring that must have cost $20,000. The caption read, "When your successful entrepreneur boyfriend finally makes it official. I knew from the moment we met at that charity gala that he was the one. Now I get to be Mrs. Richardson forever." Charity gala. Simone remembered that night. 6 months ago. Derek said he was attending a work function and she shouldn't bother coming because it would be boring. She'd stayed home and worked on a presentation. She scrolled through the comments. Dozens of people congratulating them. Friends of Amber's talking about what a perfect couple they made. No one questioned anything. No one wondered if maybe this successful man was already married. Simone took screenshots of everything. Every photo. Every caption. Every comment. Her phone rang. "Nicole. Tell me you didn't stay in that house last night," her friend said. "I'm at a hotel. I'm okay." "You're not okay. This is insane. What are you going to do?" "I'm gathering evidence. I have lawyer meetings this afternoon. I'm going to destroy him, Nicole. Legally. Completely." "Good. That's my girl. Do you need anything? I can come sit with you. Bring food. Wine. I need to stay focused right now. But thank you." After they hung up, Simone remembered something. Derek had a home office in their house. She'd given him space, never going through his things. Privacy and trust, she'd thought. She drove back to the house, half expecting Derek to be there. His car wasn't in the driveway. She let herself in quickly and went straight to his office. The desk drawers were mostly empty. He'd cleared out the important stuff. But people always forget something. She found it in the back of the bottom drawer. A second phone. A cheap prepaid one that Derek must have bought specifically for his secret life. Her hands shook as she turned it on. No passcode. Idiot. The text messages were all there. Months of conversations with Amber. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Told the wife I'm working late. She has no idea. She's always so busy with work anyway." There were messages to wedding planners, florists, caterers. All paid for with money from their refinanced house. Simone found the mortgage documents on the phone too. Derek had scanned her signature from their tax returns and pasted it onto the loan application. He'd forged everything. She photographed every screen with her own phone. Evidence. All of it evidence. In his email, she found the loan approval letter. The mortgage broker had actually flagged the application as suspicious because Simone hadn't been present for the signing. Derek had smooth-talked his way past it, claiming his wife was overseas for work and had signed the documents in advance. $200,000. Approved and deposited into an account Simone had never known existed. She found the bank statements for that account. The money had flowed out fast. $50,000 to the wedding venue. $20,000 for the ring. $30,000 for the honeymoon. Designer clothes. Jewelry. A new car for Amber. A Mercedes convertible. Restaurants. Hotels. All of it documented in neat little rows of transactions. There was more. Derek had opened 3 credit cards in Simone's name using her information from their joint tax returns. He'd maxed them all out. $40,000 in debt she knew nothing about. Simone sat in his office chair, surrounded by evidence of his betrayal, and felt something shift inside her. The hurt was still there, raw and painful. But underneath it grew something harder, colder, more focused. Derek had treated her like she was stupid, like she'd never find out, like she'd just accept whatever he decided to do with their money, their home, their life. He was about to learn exactly how wrong he was. She packed up the second phone, all the documents she could find, and left the house. On the way out, she noticed mail stacked on the hall table. More bills. More collection notices. Derek had destroyed her credit along with everything else. Back at the hotel, Simone organized everything into folders. Physical evidence in one pile. Digital evidence in another. She created a timeline of Derek's fraud, starting from the first time he'd accessed her personal information to open accounts. Her first lawyer meeting was at 2. Rebecca Torres came highly recommended by one of Simone's colleagues. Her office was downtown, sleek and professional. Rebecca was in her 40s, sharp-eyed and direct. She listened to Simone's story without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad. "Do you have documentation?" she asked when Simone finished. Simone pulled out her folders. Everything. Bank statements. The forged mortgage documents. His second phone with all the messages. Photos of the wedding. Credit card statements for accounts I never opened. Rebecca flipped through the evidence, her expression growing more focused. "This is serious fraud. Identity theft. Forgery. And bigamy, which is a crime in this state. Your husband is looking at potential jail time." "Good." Rebecca looked up. "Most of my clients in your situation want to handle this quietly. Quick divorce, asset division, move on. You don't seem interested in that approach." "I'm not. I want him prosecuted. I want everyone to know what he did. I want him to face actual consequences. That's going to be harder. More public. More painful for you too. I don't care. He stole from me. He committed fraud. He treated me like I was nothing. I want justice." Rebecca nodded slowly. "Okay then. Let's build a case that buries him." Rebecca Torres wasted no time. Within 24 hours, she'd filed a police report for identity theft and fraud, contacted the mortgage company with evidence of forgery, and started the paperwork to freeze all of Derek's accounts. "We need a forensic accountant," Rebecca said during their second meeting. "Someone who can trace every dollar and prove the pattern of fraud." "I know someone. He's expensive but worth it." Simone didn't hesitate. "Hire him." She also hired James Crawford, the private investigator Rebecca recommended. James was a former police detective in his 50s, calm and methodical. He looked like someone's friendly uncle, but his reputation for uncovering hidden assets was legendary. "I need to know everything about Derek Richardson and Amber Richardson," Simone told him. "Where they are. What they're doing. Every account, every asset, every lie." James nodded. "I'll need access to the evidence you've already gathered. And I'll need you to give me a list of his known associates, favorite places, regular habits." Simone had spent 12 years with Derek. She knew his patterns better than he probably realized. Over the next week, the case built itself brick by brick. The forensic accountant, a meticulous man named Peter Chong, discovered that Derek's fraud went back further than Simone had known. He'd been taking money from their joint accounts for almost 2 years, small amounts at first, then larger chunks as he got bolder. He was careful initially, Peter explained, showing Simone spreadsheets of transactions. A few hundred here and there. Easily explained as cash withdrawals or personal purchases. But 6 months ago he started moving serious money. That's when he met her. The credit cards opened in Simone's name totaled $60,000 in debt. Derek had made minimum payments for months to keep them from triggering alerts, but now they were all in default. "The good news," Rebecca said, "is that we can prove he opened these fraudulently. You'll need to file police reports and dispute the charges with each company, but your credit can be restored. It'll take time, but it's fixable." The mortgage fraud was more complicated. Derek had indeed forged Simone's signature, but the loan had been approved and the money spent. The house was in foreclosure because Derek had stopped making payments 3 months ago. "Can we save the house?" Simone asked. Rebecca shook her head. "Not unless you want to take on that massive loan yourself. And honestly, I'd advise against it. Let it go into foreclosure. The bank will go after Derek for the debt since he's the one who actually signed the loan documents. Your forged signature means you're not liable. So I lose my home but he gets stuck with the debt?" "Exactly. And since there's no equity left anyway, you're not losing much. Meanwhile, he'll have a foreclosure and a massive debt on his record. Small comfort, but comfort nonetheless." James came back with his first report after 3 days of surveillance. "Your husband is currently living with Amber Richardson in a luxury apartment downtown. Rent is $4,000 a month. They're still spending like they have unlimited money, but their accounts are running dry fast. He showed Simone photos. Derek and Amber at expensive restaurants. Shopping at high-end stores. Amber posting it all on social media like she was living a dream life. Here's the interesting part, James continued. Amber thinks she married a wealthy entrepreneur. She posts about his successful business and their amazing lifestyle. She has no idea he's actually broke and funded everything by stealing from his actual wife. Does she know he's still married to me? I don't think so. Based on what I've observed and her social media activity, she genuinely believes she's his first and only wife. Simone felt a grim satisfaction. When Amber found out the truth, her perfect influencer life would collapse. Rebecca filed a civil lawsuit against Derek for fraud, identity theft, emotional distress, and theft of marital assets. The amount she was seeking, $300,000 plus legal fees. He doesn't have that kind of money, Simone said. I know. But when we win, and we will win, he'll have a judgment against him. It'll follow him for years. We can garnish his wages, put liens on any property he tries to buy, seize assets. He'll be paying for what he did to you for a very long time. The criminal investigation moved forward too. The detective assigned to the case, a sharp woman named Detective Sandra Morris, reviewed all the evidence Simone had gathered. This is one of the clearest fraud cases I've seen, she said. The forged signatures, the identity theft, the bigamy, it's all documented. The district attorney is definitely going to prosecute. How long until he's arrested? We need to build the case completely first. Make sure we have everything. But I'd say within a month, we'll have him in custody. Simone went back to work trying to maintain some normalcy. Her colleagues at the consulting firm where she worked had no idea what was happening in her personal life. She showed up on time, did her job well, and fell apart only in private. Nicole checked on her daily. You're stronger than I would be. I'd have keyed his car by now. That would be property damage. I get arrested. This way he's the one who goes to jail. Cold. Calculated. I love it. At night, alone in her hotel room, Simone allowed herself to feel everything. The anger. The betrayal. The humiliation. But she also felt something growing that surprised her. Hope. Her life with Derek had been comfortable but empty. She'd worked hard, come home to a husband who barely noticed her, and convinced herself that was normal. That was marriage. Now, building this case against him, she felt more alive than she had in years. She was fighting for herself. Taking control. Refusing to be a victim. Derek had thought he could use her and discard her. He was about to find out exactly what Simone Carter was capable of when she stopped being nice and started being strategic. Architected pivotal confrontation scene showcasing character dynamics. Chapter 4 is about Derek realizing Simone knows and trying to beg his way back. She needs to record him admitting to fraud and then send him away. This should show her strength and his desperation. Derek found her 3 weeks after she'd moved out. Simone was in her hotel room, reviewing documents with Rebecca over video call, when someone knocked on the door. She looked through the peephole and saw him standing there holding flowers. She muted the call. Rebecca, Derek just showed up at my hotel. I'm going to talk to him. I want to record it. Rebecca's expression sharpened. Don't let him in the room. Talk in the hallway. Keep the conversation focused on getting him to admit what he did. Can you do that? Yes. Be careful. I'll stay on the line. Simone set her laptop aside, started the voice recording app on her phone, and slipped it into her pocket where the microphone would pick up everything. Then she opened the door but stood in the doorway, blocking Derek from entering. He looked terrible. His eyes were bloodshot, his clothes wrinkled. The flowers trembled in his hands. Simone. Thank God. I've been trying to reach you for weeks. I blocked your number. For a reason. Baby, please. Just let me explain. Let me come in so we can talk about this like adults. We can talk right here. You have 5 minutes. He glanced down the hallway, clearly uncomfortable with the public setting. Good. She wanted him off balance. Okay. Look, I know you're angry. You have every right to be. I messed up. I messed up bad. But I love you. I've always loved you. Amber was she was a distraction. A mistake. She doesn't mean anything to me. So you stole $200,000 from our house, committed fraud, and married another woman because she doesn't mean anything to you? It wasn't like that. She pursued me. I was weak. You were always working and I was lonely and she made me feel. Stop. Don't you dare try to make this my fault. Derek's face crumpled. I'm not. I know it's my fault. All of it. But I was confused and she was so persistent and things just spiraled out of control. The wedding wasn't even legal anyway. It doesn't count. You're right. It doesn't count. Because you were already married. To me. Which makes you a bigamist. Which is a crime. Technically yes, but. There's no but, Derek. You committed fraud when you forged my signature on those mortgage documents. You committed identity theft when you opened credit cards in my name. You committed theft when you drained our accounts. And you committed bigamy when you married Amber. Those are facts. He stepped closer, reaching for her hand. She pulled back. Don't touch me. Simone, please. I'll do anything to fix this. I'll pay back every penny. I'll work 3 jobs if I have to. I'll end things with Amber today. Right now. I'll call her and break up with her in front of you. Just please give me another chance. We can rebuild. We can go to counseling. We can. No. What? I said no. I'm not giving you another chance. I'm not rebuilding anything with you. I'm done. You don't mean that. We've been together for 12 years. You can't just throw that away. You threw it away when you decided to build a whole other life with another woman using my money? Derek's desperation shifted to anger. Your money? I worked for that money too. Did you work for the equity in our house? The house I paid the down payment on? The house I paid the mortgage on while you were out living your fantasy life? I contributed. You stole. Say it, Derek. You stole from me. He ran his hand through his hair, pacing in the narrow hallway. Fine. Yes. I took money without asking. But it was our money. Marital assets. And I was planning to pay it all back once. Once what? Once Amber's influencer career took off and started making real money? Once you convinced her rich followers to buy whatever she was selling? What was the plan exactly? Derek stopped pacing. How do you know about that? I know everything, Derek. I know you told Amber you're a successful entrepreneur. I know she thinks the wedding was paid for with your business profits. I know she has no idea you're actually broke and stole everything from your wife. Your real wife. It's complicated. It's really not. You're a fraud. You lied to her. You lied to me. You stole. And now you're going to face consequences. What consequences? What are you planning to do? Simone met his eyes. I've already filed a police report. I've hired a lawyer. The district attorney is building a case against you for fraud and identity theft. The mortgage company knows you forged my signature. Every credit card company knows you opened accounts in my name without permission. It's over, Derek. His face went pale. You're bluffing. Try me. Simone, if you do this, I'll go to jail. Is that what you want? To put me in prison? I want you to face the consequences of your actions. That's what happens when you commit crimes. I'm your husband. Not for much longer. I'm filing for divorce next week. Derek's anger erupted. You can't do this to me. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. You're supposed to forgive me. That's what marriage is. Marriage is also supposed to be trust and honesty and partnership. You destroyed all of that. You don't get to demand forgiveness after what you did. So that's it? You're just going to ruin my life. You ruined your own life. I'm just making sure you're held accountable. He stared at her, breathing hard. Then his expression shifted again, back to pleading. Okay, you're right. I deserve everything that's coming. But please think about this. If I go to prison, I can't pay you back. I can't make this right. But if you drop the charges, I can get a job, earn money, pay back every dollar I took. Isn't that better? No, because I don't believe you. You'd disappear the second the charges were dropped. You'd change your name and run off with Amber to start over somewhere else. I'd never see a penny. I wouldn't. You would. Because that's who you are. You take the easy way out. You run from consequences. But not this time. Derek's shoulders slumped. The fight went out of him. I really do love you, you know. I know you don't believe me, but it's true. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done any of this. What about Amber? She's going to be devastated when she finds out the truth. Simone felt a cold smile cross her face. That's not my problem. She helped you spend my money. She posted about your lavish lifestyle on social media while I was working 60-hour weeks. She can deal with her own consequences too. She didn't know. I don't care. Derek looked at her for a long moment. You've changed. You're colder. Harder. You made me this way. Congratulations. He dropped the flowers on the hallway floor and walked away without another word. Simone waited until he was gone, then went back into her room and locked the door. Her hands were shaking, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She unmuted the video call. Rebecca was still there looking impressed. "Did you get it?" Rebecca asked. "Every word." Simone played back the recording. Derek's admission that he took the money. His acknowledgement of the fraud. His confirmation that Amber didn't know about Simone. All of it crystal clear. "This is perfect," Rebecca said. "He just handed us everything we need." Simone sat down on the bed, suddenly exhausted. "Is it wrong that I feel nothing?" He was crying and begging and I just felt empty. "You're protecting yourself. That's healthy. And honestly, after what he put you through, you're allowed to feel however you feel. Or not feel. There's no wrong way to process this." After they hung up, Simone texted Nicole, "Derek showed up. I got him on tape admitting everything. It's really over." Nicole's response was immediate, "Good. That man deserves everything coming to him. How are you?" "Honestly, I'm relieved. I finally feel like I can start moving forward." And it was true. The confrontation had given her closure. Derek wasn't sorry. He was just sorry he got caught. He didn't love her. He loved what she provided. Stability, money, someone to fall back on when his fantasies fell apart. She was done being that person for him. Done being anyone's safety net. From now on she was building a life for herself. One where she didn't have to wonder if the person she loved was betraying her. One where her hard work benefited her, not someone who saw her as a resource to exploit. Derek had given her one gift without meaning to. He'd shown her exactly how strong she was. Strong enough to walk away. Strong enough to fight back. Strong enough to win. The arrest happened on a Tuesday morning. James Crawford had been tracking Derek's movements and tipped off Detective Morris that Derek would be at Amber's apartment. The police arrived at 7 a.m. with a warrant. Simone got the call from Rebecca while she was having breakfast at the hotel. They got him. He's in custody. She set down her coffee cup, feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness. What happens now? Arraignment this afternoon. He'll be formally charged with fraud, identity theft, forgery, and bigamy. Bail will be set. Given the severity and the evidence, I'm guessing it'll be high. Will he make bail? Depends on if anyone's willing to help him. His assets are frozen, so he'd need someone else to put up the money. Simone thought about Derek's parents. They had money, but they also had standards. Would they bail out their son after learning what he'd done? The answer came that evening. Derek couldn't make bail. He'd be held in county jail until trial. Rebecca filed the divorce papers the same day. The grounds? Fraud, abandonment, and bigamy. Simone requested nothing except what was legally hers. Her personal belongings, her separate bank account, and her freedom. You could ask for more, Rebecca said. Alimony. A share of whatever he manages to earn in the future. I don't want anything from him. I just want him gone from my life completely. The civil lawsuit was different. That was about justice and accountability. Rebecca was seeking $300,000 in damages. The stolen money plus compensation for the emotional distress, the destroyed credit, and the years of Simone's life that Derek had wasted. While Derek sat in jail, Amber's world fell apart too. It started when police interviewed her as part of the investigation. She learned for the first time that Derek was still married to someone else when he proposed to her. Their wedding ceremony had been a sham. She wasn't Mrs. Richardson. She was nothing. Amber's reaction was predictable. She took to social media. Simone watched the videos with grim amusement. Amber, mascara running down her face, crying into the camera about how she'd been deceived and victimized by a lying narcissist. I had no idea he was married, she sobbed. He told me he was divorced. He showed me fake documents. I'm a victim here too. The comment section was brutal. People who'd followed her fairy tale romance now turned on her viciously. You didn't think to check if he was really divorced before you married him? All that designer stuff was bought with stolen money and you never wondered where it came from? Successful entrepreneur should have been your first red flag. Girl, use your brain. Amber's follower count plummeted. Sponsorship deals disappeared. The lifestyle influencer who'd built her brand on being aspirational and living a dream life was now a cautionary tale. She tried to salvage her reputation by posting about how she was working with authorities and had filed her own report against Derek. But it was too late. The internet had decided she was either complicit or stupid. Either way, her career was over. 3 days after Derek's arrest, Simone received a message request on social media. From Amber. I know you probably hate me and you have every right to. But I really didn't know about you. Derek told me he was divorced. He showed me documents. I believed him. I'm so sorry for everything. I lost everything too. Maybe we could talk? I feel like we're both victims here and maybe we could help each other. Simone read the message twice, then blocked Amber without responding. Nicole laughed when Simone told her. She wanted your help? After she helped him spend your money? I guess she thought we could bond over being betrayed by the same man. Please. She's just trying to make herself look better. Like if you forgive her, it proves she was innocent. I don't care if she was innocent or not. She's not my problem. Derek's parents showed up at Simone's hotel a week later. She agreed to meet them in the lobby, but only because she wanted to make one thing clear. Derek's mother, Patricia, had always been polite but distant. She'd never thought Simone was good enough for her son. Now she sat across from Simone with red eyes and trembling hands. We didn't know, Patricia said. We had no idea Derek was doing any of this. If we'd known. You would have what? Stopped him. Derek's father, Robert, cleared his throat. We want to help make this right. We can pay you back the money Derek took. Not all of it immediately but over time. We have savings. I don't want your money. But the house is gone. I'm not trying to save it. Let it foreclose. Derek can deal with the consequences. Patricia leaned forward. Simone, please. He's our son. He made terrible mistakes, but he doesn't deserve to go to prison. Can't you find it in your heart to show some mercy? Drop the charges? We'll make sure he pays you back. We'll get him into therapy. He can change. Simone looked at this woman who'd barely acknowledged her existence for 12 years and now wanted her compassion. Your son stole $200,000 from me. He forged my signature on legal documents. He opened credit cards in my name and destroyed my credit. He married another woman while still married to me. And you want me to show him mercy? He's not a bad person. He just made bad choices. Bad choices have consequences. I'm not responsible for protecting him from those consequences. Robert tried a different approach. Think about your future. If Derek goes to prison, he'll have a record. He won't be able to get a good job. He won't be able to pay you back. But if you drop the charges, he can rebuild his life and make amends. I don't care about his future. I care about justice. That's very cold, Patricia said quietly. Then your son made me cold. They left without another word. Simone went back to her room and called Rebecca. Derek's parents just tried to convince me to drop the charges. Expected. Families usually try to protect their own. How do you feel? Good. Clear. They don't get to guilt me into letting him off the hook. Good. Because the DA's case is solid. Derek's lawyer is already talking about a plea deal. What kind of deal? Reduced charges in exchange for a guilty plea. Probably 2 to 3 years in prison instead of the 5 to 7 he's facing if he goes to trial. Will he take it? His lawyer is pushing him to. The evidence is overwhelming. He can't win at trial. A month later, Derek took the plea deal. He pled guilty to fraud and identity theft. The bigamy charge was dropped as part of the agreement. He was sentenced to 3 years in state prison. Simone attended the sentencing hearing. She sat in the back of the courtroom and watched Derek stand before the judge in an orange jumpsuit, his hands cuffed. The judge asked if she wanted to make a victim impact statement. She did. Derek Richardson stole more than money from me, she said, her voice steady. He stole years of my life. He stole my trust. He made me question everything I thought I knew about love and partnership. He treated me like I was disposable, like my only value was what I could provide for him financially. But what he didn't steal was my strength. I'm rebuilding my life and I'm going to be fine. I hope his time in prison teaches him that other people aren't resources to exploit, that actions have consequences, and that the people you hurt don't owe you forgiveness. Derek didn't look at her. He stared at the floor, shoulders hunched. The judge sentenced him to 3 years. With good behavior he might serve 2. Walking out of the courthouse, Simone felt lighter than she had in months. It was really over. Derek was going to prison. The divorce would be finalized within 60 days. She was free. Rebecca met her outside. How do you feel? Like I can finally breathe. The civil case is still moving forward. Even with him in prison, we can pursue the judgment. I know. But the criminal case was the important one. This was about making sure he faced real consequences. Well, he is. 3 years in state prison. His record will follow him for life. You won. Simone smiled. Yeah, I did. Prison transformed Derek from a threat into a footnote. With him locked away and Amber's influencer career in ruins, Simone could finally focus on rebuilding her own life. The first thing she did was find an apartment. Not temporary hotel living but a real home. She chose a bright 1-bedroom in a safe neighborhood with large windows and hardwood floors. It was smaller than the house she'd lost, but it was entirely hers. She painted the walls herself, soft grays and crisp whites. She bought second-hand furniture and refinished it. Every choice was hers alone. No compromising. No wondering if Derek would approve. Just Simone building something new. Work became a refuge. Her firm valued her strategic mind and work ethic. Her boss, Helen, called her into the office one morning. "I'm promoting you to senior consultant," Helen said. "You've been doing the work for months anyway. It's time you got the title and the pay raise." The extra money helped. Simone paid down the fraudulent credit card debt faster. Her credit score slowly climbed back up as the disputes resolved in her favor. Each month brought progress. But something was shifting in her beyond just financial recovery. One evening, Simone was having dinner with Nicole when her friend brought up an idea. "You know what you should do? Start a consulting business helping other women who've been through financial abuse." "I'm not a therapist." "You don't need to be. You're a strategic thinker. You know how to gather evidence, build cases, navigate the legal system. Most women going through what you went through don't know where to start. You could teach them." Simone considered it. "I wouldn't even know how to begin." "Start small. Maybe write a blog post about your experience. Share the steps you took. See if it resonates with people." That weekend, Simone sat at her laptop and wrote. She documented the red flags she'd missed, the evidence she'd gathered, the professionals she'd hired, and the legal process she'd navigated. She wrote about the emotional toll but also about finding strength and taking action. She titled it, "How I Took My Power Back After Financial Betrayal." She posted it on a personal blog and shared it to a few online communities for women going through divorce. Within a week, it had been shared thousands of times. Her inbox filled with messages from women telling their own stories. Women who'd been stolen from, lied to, manipulated. Women who felt powerless and didn't know how to fight back. "Your story gave me hope," one woman wrote. "I thought I was stuck, but you showed me I have options." Simone started responding to messages, offering advice. Then she created a simple guide, a PDF outlining the steps to take when you discover financial fraud in a relationship. She offered it for free. More people found her. Some wanted to hire her for one-on-one consulting. She started doing it on weekends, helping women gather evidence and connect with the right lawyers and investigators. 3 months after Derek's sentencing, Simone quit her corporate job and launched Carter Consulting Group, a firm dedicated to helping victims of financial abuse recover and rebuild. She kept it simple at first. Just her, working from her apartment, taking clients remotely. But word spread. A journalist covering financial fraud cases found her blog and asked to interview her. The article ran in a major women's magazine. She lost everything to her husband's fraud, then built a business helping other women fight back. Her phone didn't stop ringing. She hired an assistant, then another consultant, then a lawyer on retainer who offered discounted rates to their clients. Within 6 months, Carter Consulting Group had helped 30 women navigate financial fraud cases. Some recovered money. Others just recovered peace of mind from seeing their abusers held accountable. Simone found purpose in the work. Every case reminded her why she'd fought back against Derek. Not just for herself but to prove it was possible. To show that women who'd been betrayed and stolen from didn't have to just accept it and move on quietly. They could fight. They could win. The business grew. Simone hired more staff and moved into an actual office space. She started speaking at conferences about financial abuse, offering training to lawyers and advocates. She wrote a book proposal and got an agent interested. Her life looked nothing like it had a year ago. And that was exactly the point. One evening she was working late when Nicole stopped by with takeout. "You need to eat," Nicole said, unpacking containers of Thai food. "And you need to tell me how it feels to be a successful business owner." Simone smiled. "Exhausting. Rewarding. Terrifying. All of it. Better than being married to Derek?" "God, yes. 1,000,000 times better." They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Nicole asked, "Do you ever think about dating again?" "Not really. I'm focused on the business." "That's code for, I'm still healing." "Maybe. But I'm also genuinely happy right now. I don't feel like I'm missing something. I have work I care about. Friends. A life I built myself. Why rush to add someone else to it?" "Fair. But eventually when you're ready, you deserve someone who actually deserves you." "Maybe. Someday. But not today." The civil lawsuit against Derek was moving through the courts slowly. Even from prison he was fighting it, claiming he had no assets and couldn't pay. Rebecca was relentless. "We'll get a judgment. Then when he gets out of prison and tries to work, we'll garnish his wages. He'll be paying you back for years. Simone didn't care much about the money anymore. She was making her own now. But she cared about the principle. Derek needed to understand that stealing had permanent consequences. The divorce finalized 8 months after Derek went to prison. Simone received the papers at her office. She signed them, had them notarized, and filed them away. 12 years of marriage ended with a few signatures. That night she took herself out to dinner. Not to celebrate the divorce exactly, but to mark the moment. The final legal tie to Derek was severed. She was completely, officially free. At the restaurant, she ordered wine and her favorite meal. She pulled out her phone and looked at photos of her new office, her team, the women they'd helped. This was her life now. Built on her own terms. Funded by her own work. Filled with purpose and meaning. Derek had thought he was taking everything from her when he stole that money and married Amber. He thought she'd be devastated and helpless. Instead, he'd accidentally given her the push she needed to build something better than anything they'd had together. She raised her glass in a silent toast to herself. To survival. To strength. To new beginnings. Her phone buzzed. A text from a new client. Thank you for taking my case. I didn't think anyone would believe me. You're giving me hope. Simone smiled and typed back, you're stronger than you know. We'll fight this together. That was her life now. Fighting battles. Winning wars. Helping other women do the same. And it was exactly where she was supposed to be. Derek served 20 months before being released on parole. Simone heard about it through Rebecca, who was still monitoring the case. He's out, Rebecca said over the phone. Good behavior. He'll be on parole for the remainder of his sentence. Does he know where I am? He knows about your business. It's been in the news. But you have a restraining order. If he contacts you or comes near you, he goes straight back to prison. He's smart enough to avoid that. Simone wasn't worried. Derek had learned his lesson about consequences. And besides, she had nothing he wanted anymore. What Derek walked out to was a world that had moved on without him. James Crawford, who Simone still kept on retainer for client cases, gave her updates. Not because she asked, but because he thought she should know. Derek's living with his parents, James reported. Suburban house. Small bedroom. His mother still coddles him, but his father makes him get up early and look for work every day. Finding work with a fraud conviction proved nearly impossible. Derek applied to dozens of places. Most wouldn't even interview him. The few who did rejected him once they ran his background check. He finally found work at a shipping warehouse. Minimum wage. Loading trucks. The kind of physical labor he'd never done in his life. His parents charged him rent. Not much, but enough to remind him he wasn't a child anymore. After rent, parole fees, and the mandatory restitution payments from the civil judgment, Derek had almost nothing left. The civil court had ruled in Simone's favor months ago. $300,000 plus legal fees. Derek would be paying her back for the next 20 years through automatic wage garnishment. Every paycheck, a chunk went directly to Simone. Not that she needed it. Her business was thriving. But she appreciated the symbolism. Every 2 weeks, Derek was reminded that he still owed her. That his actions had permanent consequences. Amber had disappeared from social media entirely. Her account still existed but hadn't been updated since the scandal. James found her living in another state with her parents, working retail at a mall. Her dreams of being a professional influencer were dead. The fairy tale wedding she'd documented so carefully had become an embarrassment. She deleted all the posts about Derek, but the internet never forgot. Screenshots circulated. People still mocked her in comment sections. She tried to rebrand, creating new accounts under different names. But people always figured out who she was. The girl who married a criminal. The influencer who couldn't tell her rich entrepreneur boyfriend was actually broke and stealing from his wife. Simone felt no sympathy for her. Derek's parents tried one more time to appeal to Simone's mercy. A letter arrived at her office. Dear Simone, we know you probably don't want to hear from us, but we're asking you to reconsider the civil judgment against Derek. He's trying so hard to rebuild his life, but the wage garnishment makes it almost impossible for him to survive. He's living paycheck to paycheck, barely affording food. We understand he hurt you deeply, but at some point, doesn't there need to be forgiveness? Haven't you punished him enough? We're begging you as his parents to show some compassion. He's suffered. He's paid his debt to society. Please let him move on with his life. Patricia and Robert Richardson. Simone read it once, then filed it away without responding. Rebecca asked if she wanted to reply. You're under no obligation, but if you want to make your position clear, I can draft something. No need. They'll never understand. And I don't need them to. The truth was, Simone rarely thought about Derek anymore. He'd become irrelevant. A chapter of her life that was finished. Her business consumed her focus. Carter Consulting Group had expanded to 3 locations. She'd hired 15 people. They'd helped over 200 women navigate financial abuse cases. She'd published her book, Taking Back Control, a guide to recovering from financial betrayal. It became a bestseller in the self-help category. She did interviews, podcast appearances, speaking tours. Everywhere she went, women thanked her. Some had left abusive situations because her story showed them it was possible. Others had built cases against partners who'd stolen from them. A few had even started their own businesses, inspired by her example. One woman approached her after a conference talk. "My husband did the exact same thing yours did. Refinanced our house, took all the money, spent it on another woman. I felt so stupid and alone. But I read your book and realized I wasn't stupid. He was a criminal. I gathered evidence, hired a lawyer, and he's in prison now. I'm rebuilding my life. Because you showed me how." Those moments made everything worthwhile. The pain of Derek's betrayal had been transformed into purpose. She'd taken the worst thing that ever happened to her and used it to help hundreds of other women. Meanwhile, Derek loaded boxes in a warehouse and went home to his childhood bedroom. His friends had all drifted away. His professional reputation was destroyed. His dating life was non-existent. What woman would want a convicted fraudster living with his parents? He'd thrown away a loyal wife, a comfortable home, and a stable life. For what? A few months of playing pretend with an influencer who dumped him the second things got hard. Simone heard through mutual acquaintances that Derek had tried to reach out to old friends, looking for opportunities. People avoided him. No one wanted to be associated with someone who'd gone to prison for fraud. His LinkedIn profile, once polished and professional, now had a gap in employment history that screamed prison. His attempts to network went nowhere. He was exactly where he deserved to be. Struggling. Alone. Facing the long-term consequences of his choices. And Simone? She was thriving. She'd bought a beautiful townhouse in the city. Modern, spacious, with a home office where she worked on new projects. She traveled for business and pleasure. Conferences in Chicago, a vacation in Portugal, a speaking engagement in Toronto. She had genuine friendships. A career she loved. Financial security she'd built herself. She didn't need Derek's money from the garnishment, but she never considered stopping it. That automatic deduction from his paycheck was a reminder. Not for her, she barely noticed it, but for him. Every 2 weeks, he was reminded that his actions had permanent consequences. Some people might call it petty. Simone called it justice. Nicole asked her about it once. Does it feel good? Knowing he's struggling while you're successful? Simone considered the question. It's not about him anymore. I don't think about him enough for it to feel good or bad. But I also don't feel guilty about enforcing the judgment. He stole from me. He should pay it back. That's just accountability. Very evolved of you. Not evolved. Just honest. He's not my problem anymore. He's barely a thought. And that was the truth. Derek had shrunk in her mind from the center of her world to a minor inconvenience from her past. A cautionary tale she told in speeches. A name on a legal document. He had no power over her anymore. She'd won. Not by destroying him, though he'd destroyed himself well enough. But by building a life so full and meaningful that he became irrelevant. That was the best revenge of all. Envision Simone's triumphant chapter showcasing professional growth and personal liberation. Chapter 8 should show Simone's continued success, buying a new home, traveling, building friendships, speaking at conferences, and her business growing. This is where she's really thriving and Derek is completely in her rearview mirror. 2 years after Derek went to prison, Simone stood on stage at the National Women's Business Conference in front of 3,000 people. Financial abuse is one of the most overlooked forms of domestic abuse, she said into the microphone, her voice calm and confident. It traps women in relationships because they can't afford to leave. It destroys credit, ruins careers, and makes victims feel helpless. But you are not helpless. You have more power than you realize. The audience leaned forward, listening intently. Simone clicked to the next slide. When I discovered my husband had stolen $200,000 from me, forged my signature, destroyed my credit, and married another woman with my money, I had a choice. I could collapse into victimhood. Or I could fight back strategically and legally. I chose to fight. She walked them through the steps, gathering evidence, hiring professionals, filing criminal and civil charges, protecting assets, rebuilding credit. Today my ex-husband is out of prison but still paying restitution. My credit is restored. And I run a consulting firm that has helped over 300 women recover from financial abuse. The same trauma that almost destroyed me became the foundation for my life's most meaningful work. The applause was thunderous. After her talk, women lined up to speak with her. Some shared their own stories. Others asked for business cards. A few just wanted to say thank you. One woman, close to Simone's age, grabbed her hand. I've been married for 15 years to a man who controls all the money. I thought I was stuck. But hearing you speak, I realize I'm not. I can gather evidence. I can leave. I can rebuild. Yes, you can, Simone said firmly. And when you're ready, my team can help. Flying home that night, Simone reflected on how far she'd come. The scared woman standing in her bedroom holding foreclosure notices felt like a different person. That woman had been devastated, lost, unsure of her own strength. This woman, the one who'd just spoken to thousands, who ran a thriving business, who turned pain into purpose. This woman was unstoppable. Carter Consulting Group now had offices in 3 cities. Her team had grown to 25 employees, including lawyers, accountants, investigators, and consultants. They developed programs for financial literacy, legal advocacy, and emotional support. Simone had also started a nonprofit arm that provided free services to women who couldn't afford her consulting fees. The nonprofit was funded by her book sales, speaking fees, and donations from supporters who believed in the mission. She'd bought a townhouse in a neighborhood she loved. 3 bedrooms, a modern kitchen, a rooftop deck with city views. She'd furnished it exactly the way she wanted. Clean lines, lots of light, comfortable but elegant. The 3rd bedroom was her home office. She worked from there when she wasn't at the main office or traveling. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with business books, legal references, and fiction she read for pleasure. For the first time in her life, Simone lived alone and loved it. No one to answer to. No one to compromise with. Just her, making every decision about her space, her time, her life. She traveled more now too. Business trips to conferences and speaking engagements took her all over the country. But she also traveled for fun. A weekend in Charleston. A week in Mexico. A girls' trip to New Orleans with Nicole and 2 other friends. She discovered she loved exploring new places, trying new restaurants, meeting new people. The world felt bigger and more interesting than it had when she'd been focused solely on keeping Derek happy. Her friendships deepened. Nicole remained her closest friend, but Simone had built a whole circle of women who supported and challenged her. They had a book club that actually read books. They went to concerts and plays. They celebrated each other's wins and showed up during hard times. Work continued to be fulfilling. Every client who came to her broken and left empowered reminded Simone why she did this. One case particularly stood out. A woman named Rachel had discovered her husband had been stealing from their business for years. He'd nearly bankrupted them. Rachel came to Simone devastated, convinced she'd lose everything. Simone's team helped Rachel gather evidence, protect the remaining business assets, and build a fraud case. They connected her with a business attorney who helped restructure the company. 6 months later, Rachel had full control of a profitable business, and her ex-husband was facing criminal charges. "You saved my business," Rachel said, tears in her eyes. "You saved my life." "No," Simone corrected gently. "You saved yourself. I just showed you the tools. You did the hard work." But she appreciated being part of those transformations. Every success story validated her decision to turn her pain into purpose. The media continued to be interested in her story. She did interviews for magazines, podcasts, and news programs. Each time she emphasized the same message: financial abuse is serious, women have legal options, and rebuilding is possible. Some interviews asked about Derek. She kept her answers brief and factual. "My ex-husband is serving his sentence through restitution payments and parole restrictions. I don't think about him much anymore. My focus is on helping other women avoid what I went through, or recover if they're already in it." She never mentioned Amber. That woman had disappeared into obscurity and deserved to stay there. One evening, Simone was having dinner at a new restaurant when she ran into Derek's mother, Patricia. The older woman looked shocked to see her. Simone considered leaving but decided she had nothing to hide from. "Simone," Patricia said quietly, "you look well." "I am well. How are you?" "Tired. Derek he's struggling. The judgment against him makes it impossible for him to save money or move forward." Simone kept her expression neutral. "He's paying back money he stole. That's appropriate. It's been 2 years. Haven't you made your point?" "With respect, Mrs. Richardson, Your son committed serious crimes against me. The legal system determined appropriate consequences. I'm simply enforcing what the court ordered. You used to be so kind, so forgiving. I used to be a lot of things. Derek taught me to be more discerning about who deserves my kindness. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. You've done well for yourself. Your business, your book. You've turned Derek's mistakes into profit. Simone felt a flash of anger. I turned my trauma into purpose. There's a difference. And frankly, Derek's choices aren't my responsibility to manage. They never were. He's my son. And he's an adult who made adult choices. I'm sorry he's struggling, but that's between him and the consequences of his own actions. She paid her check and left. The encounter didn't ruin her evening, but it reminded her that some people would never understand. They'd always see her as too harsh, too unforgiving, too cold. She didn't care. Their opinions weren't her concern. A week later, Simone was invited to speak at a university business school. The topic was entrepreneurship after adversity. She told her story to a room full of students. Young faces eager to learn, impressed by her success. During the Q&A, a student asked, "Do you think you would have started your business if your husband hadn't betrayed you?" Simone considered the question honestly. Probably not. I was comfortable in my corporate job. I didn't think I had what it took to run my own business. His betrayal forced me to find strength I didn't know I had. It's not a path I'd recommend. There are better ways to discover your potential. But I can't say I regret where I ended up. Another student asked, "Do you ever worry about dating again? Like trusting someone after what happened?" I'm not dating right now. I'm focused on my work and my life. If the right person comes along eventually, great. But I'm not looking for someone to complete me. I'm already complete. If I date again, it'll be because I want to share my life with someone, not because I need them to make my life whole. The students applauded. After the talk, the department chair approached her. "Have you ever considered teaching? We'd love to have you as a guest lecturer on entrepreneurship and business ethics." Simone accepted. It became a regular commitment. Once a semester, she'd come teach a few classes about building businesses with purpose, navigating adversity, and maintaining ethical standards. She loved it. The students were smart and engaged. Teaching forced her to articulate lessons she'd learned through experience. Her life was full. Overflowing, actually. Work, speaking, teaching, traveling, friends, hobbies. She'd taken up painting, abstract pieces that decorated her townhouse. She volunteered at a women's shelter, teaching financial literacy classes. Every piece of her life was something she'd chosen deliberately. No compromises. No settling. No wondering if she should check with someone else first. This was freedom. This was success. This was the life she deserved. And Derek? Derek was loading boxes in a warehouse, living with his parents, paying off a debt that would follow him for decades. Exactly where he should be. Simone wasn't looking for love. She'd made peace with the possibility that she might spend the rest of her life single. After Derek, the idea of trusting someone with her heart again felt impossible. But life has a way of surprising you when you stop trying to control it. She met Isaiah Bennett at an entrepreneurship conference in Seattle. He was speaking on a panel about building sustainable businesses. Simone was in the audience taking notes. Isaiah was 42, tall, with an easy smile and intelligent eyes. He talked about his journey from working 2 jobs to starting a tech company that developed financial software for small businesses. He was articulate without being arrogant, confident without being cocky. After the panel, there was a networking reception. Simone usually avoided these, she found them exhausting. But she wanted to ask Isaiah about his software, thinking it might be useful for some of her clients. She approached him while he was standing alone, checking his phone. "Excuse me. I'm Simone Carter. I run a consulting firm that helps women recover from financial abuse. Your software sounds like it might be useful for some of my clients. Do you have a minute to talk about it?" Isaiah looked up, and his face lit up with genuine interest. "Simone Carter? I read your book. It was incredible. And yes, absolutely, I'd love to talk about how the software might help your clients." They talked for 20 minutes about features, pricing, integration possibilities. The conversation was professional, focused. But there was something else too. An ease. A comfort. "I don't usually do this," Isaiah said as the reception wound down, "but would you want to grab coffee tomorrow morning? I'd love to hear more about your work. And honestly, I'm just enjoying talking to you." Simone hesitated. Then, "Sure. Coffee sounds good." They met at a quiet cafe near the conference hotel. What was supposed to be a 30-minute coffee turned into a 3-hour conversation. Isaiah told her about building his business from nothing. About his divorce 5 years ago. Amicable, no children, they'd just grown apart. About his passion for financial literacy and making tools accessible to people who couldn't afford expensive accountants. Simone told him about Carter Consulting Group, about turning her trauma into purpose. She didn't shy away from Derek's story, but she also didn't dwell on it. "You're remarkable," Isaiah said. "Not just for what you've built, but for how you talk about it. No victim mentality. Just strength and clarity. I had to find that clarity the hard way. The best kind of strength usually comes from the hard ways." They exchanged numbers. "I travel a lot for work," Isaiah said. "But I'd like to stay in touch. As friends or colleagues or whatever feels right." "I'd like that too." Over the next few months they texted regularly. Quick check-ins. Sharing articles they thought the other would find interesting. Photos from their travels. Simone found herself looking forward to his messages. He was thoughtful, funny, and never pushy. He didn't try to impress her or rush anything. He was just present. 3 months after they met, Isaiah had a business trip to Simone's city. They had dinner. Then another dinner the next night. And breakfast the following morning. "I really like you," Isaiah said as they walked through the city after breakfast. "I know you've been through a lot. I know trust doesn't come easy for you right now. But I want you to know I'm interested in getting to know you better. At whatever pace feels right for you." Simone appreciated his directness. "I like you too. But I need to be honest. I'm not looking for someone to rescue me or fix me. I'm good on my own. If we're going to explore this, it has to be as equals. I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm not looking for someone who needs me. I'm looking for someone I want to be around. And that's you." They took it slow. Very slow. More dinners when they were in the same city. Long phone calls when they weren't. Texting. Video chats. Isaiah never pushed. Never pressured. He respected Simone's boundaries without making a big deal about it. 6 months into knowing each other, Simone invited him to visit for a weekend. He stayed at a hotel, not her townhouse. They explored the city together. Went to museums. Tried new restaurants. Talked about everything. "I'm not good at this," Simone admitted one evening over wine. "The dating thing. Trusting someone. Letting my guard down. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to be honest about what you need and what you're feeling. That's all I ask." "What are you feeling?" "I'm feeling like I want to spend more time with you. Like I admire your strength and your passion for your work. Like I'm not interested in playing games or keeping things casual. But I'm also feeling patient. I'll go at whatever speed you need." Simone looked at this man who seemed too good to be true. Who respected her independence instead of being threatened by it. Who celebrated her success instead of being intimidated. "I'm scared," she said quietly. "Of getting hurt again. Of trusting the wrong person." "That's reasonable. I'd be concerned if you weren't scared after what you went through. But I hope you'll give me a chance to prove I'm different." They became official after 8 months of dating. Simone introduced him to Nicole, who grilled him thoroughly and then approved. "He's good," Nicole said after Isaiah left. "Like actually good. Not pretending. He looks at you like you're the most interesting person in the room. It still feels surreal. Like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Some people are just decent, Simone. Not everyone is Derek." Isaiah integrated into Simone's life without trying to take it over. He had his own business, his own friends, his own interests. When they were together, they were fully present. When they were apart, they each had full lives. He never tried to change her. Never suggested she should work less or travel less or be different in any way. He just appreciated her as she was. For her birthday, he didn't buy jewelry or flowers. He made a donation to her nonprofit in her name and cooked her favorite dinner at his place. "I figured you don't need stuff," he said. "But I know the nonprofit means a lot to you." She kissed him. "You figured right." They'd been together a year when Isaiah's business expanded to a city 2 hours from Simone. He asked if she'd mind if he split his time between the two cities. "I don't mind at all. Your business is important. I'm not going to ask you to compromise your work for me. Just like I'd never ask you to compromise yours." That was the foundation of their relationship. Mutual respect. Independence. Partnership without possession. Simone had never been happier. Her business was thriving. Her personal life was fulfilling. She had friends, purpose, and now someone who loved her without trying to control her. Isaiah never made her feel like she owed him anything. Never held his support over her head. Never used her past trauma to manipulate her. He was just steady, kind, honest. Everything Derek hadn't been. One evening, lying on her couch after dinner, Isaiah said, "I love watching you work. The way you light up when you talk about helping clients. The passion you have for justice and accountability. It's beautiful. Most men would be intimidated by a woman who's passionate about revenge. Good thing I'm not most men. And it's not revenge. It's justice. There's a difference." She smiled. There really is. She wasn't ready to say she loved him yet, but she could feel herself getting there. Slowly, carefully, but genuinely. For the first time since Derek, Simone could imagine a future with someone. Not because she needed them, but because she wanted them. And that made all the difference. 2 years after meeting Isaiah, Simone stood in the conference room of Carter Consulting Group's newest office. The third location. Portland, Oregon. The space was beautiful, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture, a welcoming atmosphere. Her team had worked for months to get it ready. Now they were hosting the grand opening. Local business leaders attended. Representatives from nonprofits, journalists, and dozens of women who'd been helped by Carter Consulting Group over the years. Simone gave a short speech. "When I started this business 4 years ago, I was operating out of my apartment, just trying to help one woman at a time. Today we have 3 offices, 40 employees, and we've helped over 600 women recover from financial abuse. This isn't just my victory. It's ours. Every woman who fought back. Every woman who refused to accept being a victim. We did this together." The applause was warm and genuine. After the ceremony, Simone mingled with guests. She saw faces from different chapters of her journey. Clients who'd become friends. Lawyers she worked with regularly. Students from her university classes who'd been inspired to pursue business. Isaiah was there too, standing back and letting her have her moment. When their eyes met across the room, he smiled, proud, supportive, not needing to be the center of attention. Later, as the event wound down, Simone's assistant handed her a letter. "This came in the mail today. I almost didn't bring it, but I thought you should see it." Simone recognized the handwriting immediately. Derek. She took it to her new office and sat at her desk. The letter was handwritten on cheap notebook paper. "Dear Simone, I know I have no right to contact you after everything I did. I know you probably won't even read this, but I need to try. I've had a lot of time to think about what I did to you. 3 years in prison. 2 years working minimum wage jobs. 2 years watching you succeed while I struggle. At first I was angry. I thought you were being vindictive, that you enjoyed watching me suffer. But I understand now. You weren't being cruel. You were holding me accountable. Something no one else in my life ever did. I stole from you. I lied to you. I betrayed you in every possible way. I destroyed our marriage, our home, your trust. And you didn't just let me get away with it. You fought back. You won. I've lost everything. My career, my reputation, my freedom, my money. Amber left me the second things got hard. My friends won't return my calls. My parents are disappointed in me. I'm 45 years old, living in a basement room, working a job I hate, paying back a debt that will follow me for decades. And you know what? I deserve it. All of it. I see your success now. Your business. Your book. The women you're helping. You turned the worst thing I ever did into something meaningful. You took your pain and made it into purpose. I took your money and wasted it on a fantasy that collapsed the second reality set in. I know you won't forgive me. I'm not asking you to. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I wanted you to know that I understand now. I understand what I threw away. I understand that you were the best thing in my life and I destroyed it because I was selfish and stupid and weak. I hope you're happy. I really do. You deserve happiness. You deserve better than me. I'm sorry doesn't cover it. Nothing I say will ever cover it. But for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. Derek." Simone read it twice. Then she folded it, put it back in the envelope, and filed it away in a drawer. She felt nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. No pain. Just nothing. Derek was finally taking responsibility. That was good for him. But it didn't change anything for her. She'd moved on years ago. He was just now catching up. Her phone buzzed. "Isaiah, how'd the opening go?" "Proud of you." She smiled and texted back. "Perfect. See you tonight?" Wouldn't miss it. That evening, Simone drove home to the townhouse she loved. She changed into comfortable clothes and started preparing dinner. Isaiah arrived with wine and flowers, not roses but wildflowers because he knew she preferred them. They cooked together, talking about the opening, about his latest software update, about plans for an upcoming trip to Colorado. Over dinner, Isaiah said, "I've been thinking about something." "Yeah. I want to invest in your nonprofit. As a board member and a donor." I've seen the work you do. I believe in it. And I want to be part of it if you'll have me. Simone set down her fork. You don't have to do that. I know I don't have to. I want to. Your mission matters. And I have resources I'd like to put towards something meaningful. Then yes, I'd be honored to have you on the board. He reached across the table and took her hand. I love you, Simone. I know I haven't said it before. I didn't want to rush you or make you feel pressured. But I do. I love your strength, your passion, your refusal to be anything other than exactly who you are. You're remarkable. She felt tears sting her eyes. I love you too. You're patient and kind and you never try to change me. You're everything I didn't know I needed. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Simone said, Derek sent me a letter today. Apologizing. Finally taking responsibility. How do you feel about it? Honestly, I feel nothing. He's not my problem anymore. He hasn't been for a long time. That's the best kind of victory. When your enemy becomes irrelevant. Exactly. Later that night, lying in bed, Simone thought about the past 4 years. The devastation of discovering Derek's betrayal. The determination to fight back. The slow, steady process of rebuilding. The unexpected joy of building a business that mattered. The surprise of finding love again. She'd lost her marriage, her home, and years of her life to a man who saw her as a resource to exploit. But she'd gained something so much better. Purpose. Independence. Success. Love. Derek was out there somewhere working a dead-end job, paying off his debt, living with regrets. Amber was living in obscurity, her influencer dreams dead. And Simone? Simone was living her best life. 3 offices across the country. A team she was proud of. Hundreds of women helped. A book that inspired others. Speaking engagements. Teaching opportunities. A home she loved. Friends who supported her. A partner who respected her. This was victory. Not destruction or revenge. Just building something so good that the people who hurt you became irrelevant. Derek thought he was taking everything when he stole from her. He thought he was leaving her with nothing. Instead, he'd accidentally set her free. Free to discover her own strength. Free to build a life that actually mattered. Free to find love that was genuine and healthy. He'd lost everything trying to gain a fantasy. She'd lost everything and built an empire. That was justice. That was accountability. That was the difference between someone who takes responsibility and someone who destroys others for temporary pleasure. Simone closed her eyes, completely at peace. She'd won. In every way that mattered. And she'd done it by being strategic, resilient, and refusing to let anyone else define her worth. Derek had taught her an important lesson, though he'd never meant to. The best revenge isn't destroying your enemy. It's building a life so full and successful that they become irrelevant. And Simone Carter had done exactly that.